You strike me as a person who reads social cues pretty well and does not go out of your way to unnecessarily offend people. Do you, if there's truth in that, do you really enjoy the opportunity to write and say what you want without caring if it offends people?
That's a great question. First of all, thank you for the compliment, because I always like to think that I read social cues well, but then I always hear other people tell me that they read social cues well and that they can see right through people, and sometimes I think in my head, no, you can't. So I hesitate to claim that skill for myself, but of course I deep down I believe it. So I appreciate the compliment. I don't want to offend people. You're right. I worry about it. I worry about offending people. Part of that might be a gender issue, and part of it is my upbringing, and part of it is just, that's just me. I like to be liked, but I think in my writing, the older I get and the more experienced I get with my craft, the less I worry about offending people, because the good writing is the honest writing.
Yeah.
And writer's block is fear of being honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so now I know it's confusing sometimes to people when I talk about honesty in terms of fiction, but I often think that fiction is even more honest than nonfiction. And what I mean by that is that fiction contains emotional truth, and you can have your characters doing anything. I mean, anything you haven't done. You can have your characters flying airplanes or living 500 years ago or whatever, but the emotions that they're experiencing have to be emotions that the author has experienced. And if the author is able to tap into those emotions and express them truthfully and elegantly, that's the good stuff. If we're hiding, the reader knows it. I mean, I can think of so many occasions when I've read a book or even read an article and I think, oh, you're holding back. I wonder what you're holding back. I can feel the holes. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I mean, you're a very truthful writer, so I know that you're very, very candid, and so I'm sure you can relate to this.
Yes.
But for me, it was difficult to get to the point where I just kind of let it all go. And with this book, with Skinny, I was so afraid of writing the truth, because I kept thinking. I mean, it's a novel about a woman with body image issues, with serious body image issues, and I kept thinking, what if my reader reads this book and makes the connection that an author who writes a book about body image issues must have serious body image issues of her own? And of course that reader would have been correct, because I have always had body image issues. And the thought of readers figuring that out for a time felt catastrophic to me. Once I let that go, and that was giving me writer's block. I was writing 100 pages and cutting, writing 100 pages and cutting for years, a couple years. And when I finally let that go and just said, you know what, who cares? I'm certainly not the only person who has body image issues, and even if I am, who cares? And I had to keep reminding myself of that, because obviously the answer to that question, who cares, was I care. But I had to keep reminding myself that there was no need for me to care. And once I opened up and got really into that character, the story came out. And I realized I learned a lot from writing this book. I learned that not everybody's going to like what you write, and that's okay, and some people are going to be offended, and if your intention was not to be mean, then that's okay. You can't control that. And I was really glad in the end that I had kind of opened a vein for this book.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it would be fair to write a book about adult eating disorders and childhood obesity without really digging.
Yeah. Yeah, I know you a little bit. And so as I was reading the book, at various times I would say, that's Diana. Like, I remember you wrote a blog post for someone about handing out flyers outside in the freezing cold to promote something or other.
Yes.
and and so I saw the protagonist doing that, and yeah, there were like various times when I'd say that's Diana, and also because this is now your second book, I feel like okay, I know the themes that particularly speak to Diana because there are many overlapping themes between this book and your first book.
Yeah, guilt, for example.
Yeah.
Right.
And also social cues, like you have a good eye. Whenever, if someone is acting inappropriately in one of your books, there's going to be consequences.
Oh, so okay, so that's really interesting. Let me think about that. When someone's acting inappropriately, I have often acted inappropriately, and so that might be where that's coming from. It's just shame for having acted inappropriately, and so wanting to create consequences for inappropriate actions in my fiction.
Yeah, like I can't see a character in your book doing things like against the law and or against social norms, and they're not being comeuppance. Like I'm thinking about some of the weirdos in your first book, and first they weird and then they became disturbing, and and same with Skinny. Like there are some characters who are weird and then they become disturbing and even more disturbing. And
that might have something to do with my own life experience because I love weirdos. I'm often drawn to weirdos, and a lot of the people in my life are weirdos, and many of those relationships have proven to be wonderful, and I have many of my great friends are weirdos, but at the same time I've often had the experience where I'm drawn to a weirdo and he or she later becomes, as you say, disturbing, and there have been consequences. So I might have just been sort of recording reality as I see it.
2 novels. This is really good for your career as a writing teacher. Can't you get tenure now?
Tenure. Well, I teach at I'm an adjunct teacher at a college, and and then I teach some adult writing classes. So, I guess the only place I could get tenured is at that college, but the truth is that it's not what I want to do. I consider writing my career, and if I were to become tenured somewhere, and, even though teaching hours, professor hours are pretty cushy, it's still another career, and there's bureaucracy, and there's bullshit, and there's reading thesis papers until you drown in them, and department meetings, and a lot of other things that I consider unsavory, and I just don't want another career. So right now I'm happy with teaching a few classes and kind of being my own free agent to supplement the money that I make writing. But I could also see myself doing something else to support my writing. Like I wouldn't mind at all moving to an island and I've been scuba diving half my life, learning how to be a dive instructor and doing that and writing. I could do anything. It's teaching just happens to be the thing that I fell into, and it's comfortable right now. But as you know, I used to work in bars and restaurants. I've done other things too. So I don't ever want to feel terribly attached to any job. And I know that I couldn't feel terribly attached to any job besides writing. So I always am just hoping that whatever I'm doing to make money is the best thing I can be doing for my writing, for my real work.
Is writing number one for your life?
Maybe my family, but if I'm not writing, I can't really be good to the people in my life. So I guess I will guiltily say yes. When I'm not writing, I feel so off kilter that nothing else is really working.
Do you devote yourself to writing primarily as a choice or primarily